بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Sisters and brothers, I want to tell you about Hisham, Kenan, and Tahsin. They are three young Palestinian American men, no older than my sons, who were shot a few weeks ago for speaking Arabic and wearing a kufiyya. Hisham may never walk again. A young woman in North Carolina was stabbed on Halloween by someone wearing an Israeli flag. And we all know the name of Wadia, a 6-year-old who was stabbed 26 times by his landlord. All of these horrific incidents are the direct result of hate speech. All of these horrific incidents were the direct result of the dehumanization of Palestinians in particular and Muslims in general. This dehumanization is happening in the highest corridors of power all the way to the lowest. And yet, we are the ones being accused of hate speech. We are the ones being accused of calling for a genocide when we speak against an actual genocide happening in the world. I just met with a group of students who are being silenced and punished by their universities for speaking up for Palestine. They're told that it's making other students feel uncomfortable and unsafe. And so the universities are taking the side of those wishing to squash any kind of dissent. And so a lot of us are feeling deflated. It feels like the odds and the resources are so stacked against us. Our accounts are censored and they're shadow banned, and no, it's not in your head, they actually are. University campuses are hysterically one-sided. Our students are being harassed and doxxed, threatened. They're losing internships and job offers. People are getting fired. And we are 70+ days into a televised genocide as the powerful in the world watch, or in some cases enable and bankroll the genocide. So many of us are wondering, should we keep trying? Should we keep speaking out? Is anything we do really making a difference? And the answer is this, sisters and brothers. We are not required to bring about justice. We are required to stand and bear witness and work for justice, even if it feels impossible. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله. Allah teaches us in His book that we must stand for justice. He never requires us to bring it into manifestation, because He tells us this: the opening will never come because of our means. The opening will only come from His might. وَمَا النَّصْرُ إِلَّا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. The opening, the victory will not come except from Allah. And yet we must work still in obedience to His commands. During the Battle of Badr, sisters and brothers, the believers, as you all know, were outnumbered 3-1. And Allah reminds the believers in Surah Al-Anfal, وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. It was not you who threw when you threw, but it was Allah who threw. And in the tafsir, specifically tafsir Ibn Kathir, it's explained that this was a reference to grains of sand that the Prophet ﷺ threw at the enemy. I want you to think about sand, sisters and brothers. Try picking up a handful of sand and throwing it. It won't even go a few feet. It would feel like it would do nothing for an army 3 times your size in full armor across the valley. And so as seemingly harmless to the enemy as this was, this handful of sand was taken by Allah into the eyes of the enemy, distracting and blinding them, and eventually leading to victory. Why? Why did the believers get this command to throw sand? Couldn't Allah have taken the sand and put it in the eyes of the enemy? Couldn't He have blinded them without sand? Of course. But it was out of Allah's generosity as a gift to us so that we would be a part of the victory and gain the reward. Because make no mistake, sisters and brothers, this cause does not need us. Victory is guaranteed. The question is, do you and I want to be part of the blessing of throwing sand in the eyes of injustice, or do we want to be bystanders? Palestinian liberation does not need our work. Don't get me wrong. We need to work for Palestinian liberation for our own souls. You know, when Musa alayhi salam faced off with the sorcerers in the court of Fir'aun, and some mufassirin say that he was up against 7 magicians, the most skilled in the land. Others say it was 70, and some even say it was 70,000 magicians, rows upon rows upon rows. This hall carries 20,000 people. Imagine this times 4. Magicians, the most skilled in the land, in front of all of the people of Egypt at daybreak in the day of festival, all casting their spells. And the Quran recounts his fear when he saw their magic. فَأَوْجَسَ فِي نَفْسِهِ خِيفَةً مُوسَى. And so he harbored fear in his heart. He didn't show it, but he had that sense of fear in his heart. قُلْنَا لَا تَخَفْ إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْأَعْلَى. We said to him, do not be afraid. He was reassured by his Lord, you have the upper hand. وَأَلْقِ مَا فِي يَمِينِكَ تَلْقَفْ مَا صَنَعُوا إِنَّمَا صَنَعُوا كَيْدُ سَاحِرٍ وَلَا يُفْلِحُ السَّاحِرُ حَيْثُ أَتَى. Don't be afraid. You have the upper hand. Throw what is in your hand. It will overtake what they manufactured. What they manufactured is only the conspiring of illusionists. And the illusionists will never succeed no matter where they are. I saw a headline. It read, billionaires discuss $50 million media blitz in support of Israel. Despite the billions being poured into PR, the celebrity campaigns, we even have Wonder Woman herself speaking up. the well-rehearsed and tested talking points. And yes, when you hear officials and they all sound the same and they're all saying exactly the same phrase, it's because it is actually a script. The access, the pressure on universities, organizations with operating budgets, literally, one of them, 100 times the combined operating budget of every Muslim organization in America. And still, despite those magicians, still the truth comes out. One simple, interesting little factoid is that on TikTok, the phrase hashtag or the hashtag I stand with Palestine is viewed as 10 times the views as the hashtag I stand with Israel. Tenfold. And that is with the magic that I just described. 70,000 magicians. And they were overcome by casting one stick. According to a CNN October 13th, that's all the way in October 13th poll, among young people, only a quarter agreed with Israel's attacks on Gaza. Where are young people getting their information? They're getting it from social media. That means they're getting it from you. From you. You are making this happen because you're casting your stick. Don't let the magicians get to you. They will never succeed. And you may feel sometimes that you are screaming into the void. When Allah ordered Ibrahim alayhi salam to call the people to Hajj, he had no means of mass communication. He was alone in the wilderness without anyone except his family for thousands of miles. He only had his voice, the voice of one man in a barren desert. Yet he didn't hesitate to obey God's command. And Allah carried his voice to every believing heart. And the people answered the call from the furthest corners of the earth. They came on foot and on lean camel from that moment until the end of days. And what have we seen across the world? Protests. From Barcelona to Brazil, ordinary citizens in the hundreds of thousands all over the world who don't share our faith, who don't share our culture, who don't share our ethnicity, but they are marching for Palestinian freedom. It's so much that powerful countries in Europe, the bastion of free speech, are banning protests. Free speech except on Palestine. So what I'm trying to say, sisters and brothers, is on us are the deeds, and on him is the deliverance. And this is Al-Aqsa after all. It is our holy land. It is the first Qibla. It is the second masjid on earth. It is the furthest mosque, the seat of the final Khilafah, the land of gathering, the land of resurrection, the gateway to the heavens. This is Al-Aqsa. Even if it feels like all you have is a grain of sand against a nuclear arsenal, throw your sand anyway. Even if the tyrant's lies and propaganda overwhelm your eyes, toss your stick anyway. Even if you feel Your voice will never reach. Call out anyway. Keep learning, keep teaching, keep posting, keep marching, and most of all, keep praying. Because a grain of sand can defeat an army. A single stick can engulf a court of false snakes. And one person's voice can reach the whole world. God's promise is true. Thank you.